you find yourself in side control, the first thing you want to do is establish a good position. The first step there is to anchor your chest to their chest. And the way you set that relationship is by having your elbow here inside what we'll call the elbow notch between his head and his shoulder. The next thing you want to do is control the hips. And there's a couple of ways to do that, but the basic way is to pinch them between your elbow here and your knee on the back side. So he's pinching his hips there. And the last thing is to put this leg out with your toe down so that you can put your weight on top of your opponent. Now, once you've established a good side control position, you want to try to get mounted. So one method to do that is this. He's going to take his arm, the one closest to his hips, and he's going to move it to the back side on the ground, controlling the opponent's hips there. The next thing he's going to do is take his leg that's closest to the enemy's head here, and he's going to move it underneath the other leg up against his hip. And he's going to spread his legs out so he's got a good solid base back here. Now the hand that was blocking the hips, he'll bring up to either push or pull the legs out of the way. And once he's done so, he'll just swing his back leg over, spread his arms out, and be mounted. After you have moved your hand back to block the opponent's hips, you need to take your leg here closest to his head and sit underneath the other leg like this, and then spread your legs out here. It's important that this leg be back all the way here to block this hole. And now this hand can come free to move the legs out of the way. The techniques of the Modern Army Combatives program are taught around a series of drills. This allows us to do a couple of things. First, it allows us to maximize our training time. For example, if we had an hour's worth of time to train combatives, we could use the drills as a warm-up. This would help us build muscle memory in the basic techniques. As well, each time we could perfect our techniques by concentrating on a few details. The drills also allow us to fit combatives around our other training. For example, tomorrow when your unit goes out to do PT, you run, you come back to do sit-ups, and then do drill number 3 from the combatives program. So how long did it take to fit combatives into your usual day? About the same amount of time as a set of sit-ups. Now, if we take the techniques of escaping the mount with the trap and roll, passing the guard, and achieving the mount, those 3 together form drill number 1, or the basic drill. So for example, Sergeant Miller would trap Sergeant Hill's arm and go into his escape, trapping the arm, lifting him up, rolling him over, assuming a good posture, and then passing the guard, trapping the biceps, one leg comes up, knife edge hand through, moving away, placing him on his lap, stepping and reaching, coming around beside him, stacking him up, and then settling down in side control, placing his hand back, sitting through, achieving the mounted position. At this point, Sergeant Hill would do the same thing, capturing the arm, taking the leg and rolling him over, coming up in good posture, and then passing the guard. One leg coming up, hand goes through, moving away from it, stepping and reaching, coming around perpendicular, stacking him, passing, and then achieving the mounted position, sitting through, stepping over. And they could do this again and again, as many repetitions they like. Drill number 1. When you find yourself mounted on your opponent and you begin to strike him, he may attempt to block by putting his arms across his face like this. Refer to this as the George Foreman block. Whenever he does so, you're going to take your hands with a thumbless grip. One of them is going to go on the back of the enemy's elbow, the other on his wrist, and you're going to push that arm across his face. Now, it's important to note that it's the top arm, the arm closest to the enemy's head. At this point, you're going to capture that arm in place with your chest and then reach around his head to grab another thumbless grip, trapping his arm around his neck. The hand that started on his wrist now comes to his elbow, and you're going to push with your chest and hold that elbow in place with your hand so that you can get a ratcheting motion and roll the opponent over. When you get to this position, his elbow will block him from going any farther. So you want to relax your weight off of him, pull that elbow underneath him, and push him over it. And at this point, he's wrapped up like a present. So you can go ahead and sit up and prepare for the rest. Now, everybody does the same thing in this position. They all try to get their hands and knees under him. So as he does so, spring into his knees, you want to place your legs inside of his legs. What you're looking for with your legs once you get them in is to hold on with your heels as if they were hooks. You do not want to cross your feet here, or you do not want to hold on with your toes, either one. What you want is this heel right here to become a hook holding on to his thigh. Now once you've got your hooks in place, you're going to reach one hand under his arm and the other hand over his arm and secure an opposing thumb's grip, meaning your thumbs are out like this. Now, the wrestling grip, like this, is actually stronger, right up until the enemy breaks your fingers, which is illegal in wrestling, and therefore you can get away with this. So we're looking for the opposing thumb's grip here. When your opponent is attempting to achieve the rear mount, after he has placed his hooks in, but before he has put the arms under and over. At this point, you know he's going to reach around you, so you want to direct the way he's reaching. You're going to do this by placing one arm around the front of your head with your palm closest to your ear here. This head is nice and tight to his arm so that the bad guy can't reach through this gap here. Now you know the bad guy's going to reach through this armpit, so you're going to take your other hand and place it in that armpit open like this. So when the enemy does, you grasp his wrist and push it away from you. At this point, you want to take this arm away from your head and wrap it around his arm, forming the figure 4. Now this arm is trapped, so what you're going to do now is fall on top of it so that it is pinned underneath your body. You can let go of his arm now and place the closest hand you have to him on his hip with a straight arm, and the other hand can go to either the top or the bottom knee, whichever is appropriate. And you're going to scoot yourself towards your head until your butt clears his leg. Now once you've escaped your hips through his legs, the next thing you're going to do is take your leg that's closest to him, and using almost a shrimping motion, you're going to get your knee in between you and him here and on the ground. Now once you've done that, you're going to bring the other knee together and through the gap and making a hook with this backside foot. You're going to bring this knee out so you're hooking him right below this knee here. After you've done that, you're going to turn your torso over and you're going to put post on your knee here and climb up on top. Only letting go of the hooks when you're all the way mounted. Now if we put together both achieving the rear mount and escaping the rear mount, we have drill number 2. So for example, Sergeant Miller was striking Sergeant Hill, he blocked, pushed the arm across, rolled him over with a ratcheting motion, fold him forward onto his arm and sit up, and Sergeant Hill would roll forward and escape the back mount. First leg through, second leg make the hook, climb on top. Now the rolls would reverse. Sergeant Miller would block with the correct. He'd push the arm across, roll him over with a ratcheting motion, forward him onto his elbow. Whenever Sergeant Hill achieved the hook, Sergeant Miller would roll, and now he would escape. Scooting through, first one leg, then the other one, climbing on top. As many repetitions as necessary or as possible, drill number 2.